What's up, A to Z Sports Live, Titans post-game show. Another loss as Will Levis, first half turnovers, too much to overcome as the Jets do break that late tie to win 24-17. Will Levis and the Titans offense had first and goal at the 8, but could not get it done on 4 tries for the end zone. And now the Tennessee Titans are 0-2 to start the Brian Callahan era under quarterback Will Levis. So Easton Freeze and Austin Stanley are here to break this thing down off the top of the head as I'm sure this will be a very emotional post-game show for Titans fans watching. So Easton, before we officially get this thing going, tell the people what they got to do as the Titans are officially 0-2.
All you got to do is hit like for us today. We're trying to get as many folks in here. And the way that you can help us do that is by hitting like and retweet on Twitter, hitting like on Facebook, hitting like and subscribe on YouTube. All of the buttons that you can hit on your screen, please hit them now. We thank you very much for doing that.
All right. Also, make sure you guys share the show too. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, please hit that share button. Do want to get things going. Officially, the Titan postgame show presented by BetMGM and T-Dot. Nobody trashes Tennessee. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already on Facebook and on YouTube. Want to give a quick shout out to all of our great partners for Titan Game Day Live this season. X Golf Nashville and now in Murfreesboro, the home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. X Golf, play, train, entertain. PlayXGolf.com. BetMGM. Log in today to get your Pro Football Boost Pack and acquire tokens for more winnings. BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans, and T-Dot. Be part of the solution to end littering and make sure nobody trashes Tennessee, especially on game day. Visit nobodytrashestennessee.com. Will Levis had first and goal at the 8 after an incredible effort to evade a sack, escape the grasp of the Jets defense, rushes down the field to set up this thing, to have it be tied, to do this thing the right way. A couple incomplete passes, a Will Levis sack, and a 4th down attempt off Tyler Boyd's hands. He was short of the end zone anyway, but Tyler Boyd could not ring that in. So Easton Freeze, I'll let you start here on our post-game show. How are you experiencing this post-game fresh off the heels of that 24-17 Jets win?
Yeah, how you feel about this game, I think, is entirely dependent on how you came into the game and, more importantly, how you came into the season. I know a lot of Titans fans disagree with me, but I think that this is just part of one of the hardest things in sports when you need to be patient with your team. And for me, I came into this season expecting it to kind of look exactly like this for the first month or maybe 2. Really up and down, some good moments here or there, some annoying losses where you feel like if the offensive line was a little bit better, or Will Levis made one less dumb mistake, or the defense could have made one stop, you would have won a lot of close one-score losses. The Titans are already 0-2 in 2 one-score games. So, we started off the pregame show today. I said that I felt like it'd be tight and that the Jets would win. The Titans would come real close and come up just short. That's what happened. They came just short, and they couldn't ultimately overcome some of the mistakes they made in the first half. Another boring but true take is that the team that made more mistakes lost the game. That, to me, looked like 2 relatively evenly matched teams, and the one that gave the ball away and made more stupid mental errors was the one that went home with a loss. So I don't know about you, Austin. Are you particularly surprised by a loss like that? I'd imagine Titans fans are a lot less emotional after this one because at least in the second half, they didn't look like a bad football team. They just came up short.
I think I expected it because I picked the Jets to win 20-17. You picked what?
21-20.
21-20. So both of us fairly close on our pregame predictions on the score. I think why Titans fans are most likely very angry again on a Sunday afternoon as we're doing a postgame show.
Angry.
Yes, I do think they're very angry because they once again had complete control of a football game with points on their scoreboard and 0 points on the opponent's scoreboard. And Will Levis did a couple things to give that up. Or not just Will Levis.
Yes, in the first quarter. It's not the same.
But it was the second quarter, and you're about to go up 10-0 at the very minimum. And then another interception the next time. 2 straight plays in the first half where Will Levis had a fumble that was avoidable, 100% avoidable. And then the interception that we talked about at halftime. I don't think they call that shot play to Treylon Burks if Will Levis doesn't fumble the series before. But you also had another frustrating thing is another blocked punt that gave up points.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so you're sitting here saying
The parallels for week 1 or 2 are
you're
really
looking
wild.
at this roster and
Really
saying
wild.
this roster is good enough to be 2-0.
Mhm.
Yet the quarterback and a couple other tiny things that have big consequences are why the Tennessee Titans are 0-2.
It's 3 plays in both games. It's a interception, a lost fumble, and a blocked punt has been the difference in both games. The exact same 3 types of plays.
And again, it's Will Levis was, or Brian Callahan was asked, like, do you have confidence that Will Levis can learn from his mistakes? And I don't think there's any way you can have any confidence in Will Levis in learning from his mistakes because he did it again. And I went on a rant. Why? Because he did it. Like, it's so easy. Like, the easiest way to fix mistakes is to fix them temporarily because you're on your best behavior. And then you go back to being your old self because you just
That's not the way it
mistakes.
works in the NFL. No. You can't completely change the person that you are and expect to win ball games. It's not the way it works, Austin.
Easton, we just talked through this 7 days ago, almost the exact same time. And then 7 days later, Will Levis again does the dumb thing that loses you games.
The one dumb thing you're talking about, yes. Although in this case, that play, it absolutely did not lose them the game. Unlike last week where you can say that decision by Levis in that moment is what lost them the game, full stop. This was early in the second quarter. That play, they had a million opportunities to make up for, and they didn't. So I'm not trying to excuse the play by any stretch of the imagination, but to call them the same thing and to say he lost in the game on one play in 2 weeks.
I didn't say that.
I know, but I'm seeing the comments and I'm seeing folks on Twitter.
Well, I didn't say that Will Levis lost them the game today because he was a part of the group. It was a bigger group to share the blame today than it was against the Chicago Bears. But it's not the fact that he lost in the game. It's that he made the same mistake.
He made same mistake, but he demonstrated he can learn on other. I mean, how many times do we?
Let me call it 30-second timeout for him. It's not that he just made the one. It's he made the same mistake that is avoidable by doing nothing. Just don't do it. Don't it takes less effort to not make the mistake than it does to make the mistake. And so this is why this is the dumbest mistake that he does, and he's done it continuously. And it's the same thing that happened in college. It's the same reason why a lot of the Titans fans are questionable about Will Levis. It's because he makes the dumb plays way too often. And this is back-to-back weeks. The Titans are 0-2, and Will Levis now has 5 total turnovers. Whether they're they're worthy turnovers or not, he has 5 turnovers through 2 weeks. And the Titans are 0-2.
Is it 5 or 4? Do you have 3 today?
5. He had 2 today. He had 3 last week.
He himself had 3 last week?
Yeah.
I forgot about the force fumble. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Are you done?
Yes, go ahead.
So the reason that, and I don't like that, I have not come into these post-game shows wanting to be the defend Levis to the death guy. But the reason you're putting me in that position is because the original thing you said a moment ago, which I ultimately disagreed with, was that how can you watch something along the lines of how can you watch Will Levis today and believe he has any ability to correct mistakes? And I understand you're harping on the one very stupid mistake he's made twice. We can talk about that in a vacuum, and I will agree with you wholeheartedly. That's a massive issue. But on the whole, like, the ball game is a lot more than a single play. I think we can agree on that. On the whole, outside of that one play today, he did a lot of things well, and he demonstrated a couple of different times an ability to learn from mistakes. For example, last week, he was running with the ball with reckless abandon, putting his body in harm's way, putting the ball in harm's way when he was tucking and running. This week, you saw more than once decision-making discretion, when to get down, when to lower the shoulder, which he did at the end of the game. I don't think anybody had an issue with him trying to get a couple extra yards there inside the 10-yard line when he chose to lower the shoulder. But then he takes off twice before that, gets down appropriately, protects the ball and his body. I thought that play on the final drive when he's about to get sacked and they're about to be put in a very poor position, he escapes, protects the ball really well, gets down the field, and then gets down, saving himself and the ball from harm's way. That's the kind of thing that is, to me, demonstrative of him learning from past mistakes. Does that excuse his decision-making on that one play in both of these games? Absolutely not. And does it excuse him from playing better as a quarterback in general? No, he needs to get better as a quarterback in general. But to your original point that he can't correct mistakes, he can correct mistakes.
I was talking about the big picture about his tendencies is that it will take a lot to coach Will Levis out of the catastrophic dumb thing. And because that's who he is.
But did we come into the season knowing that?
Yes, and
okay. So what's changed?
Well, we have 2 games out of 2 games of watching it hurt the Tennessee Titans.
And if we're making sweeping judgments in week 2, I just don't want to be a part of that conversation. I don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm more patient than you and the folks in the chat, but I am.
I just think I'm not saying Will Levis is never going to be the guy. I'm just saying I have a hard time. Will Levis,
you seem to be insinuating he's never going to be capable of changing from the mistakes that he's demonstrated.
I will tell you where
correct that, please.
I'm not saying never. I'm not trying to speak in absolutes here.
Okay.
I think here is where I am with Will Levis.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he's in the pocket and I'm watching the TV copy, right? Every time he throws the football down the field and it's out of the original shot on the TV screen, I get nervous because I don't know what's going to happen.
Sure.
Like that is where I'm currently at with Will Levis.
I'm with you.
And
I'm with you.
He is doing that to me and to everybody here because of the bad decisions that he is currently making. He has
totally
improved.
Agree.
I think he's a better quarterback right now than he was last year. But it's the point that it's so easy to not do the thing that is killing this team in 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
He is screwing this team out of points.
What today did he do besides the single? They ran like 65 plays today. Besides the one really terrible, horrible
that matters.
Play.
That matters.
I know it matters, but you keep saying he's incapable of doing the thing. Or do you mean literally the
points.
thing, one thing?
Yeah, because it's points. In the NFL, games are decided by 4 or less plays. We've established that through 2 games here. And Will Levis has been awful on enough plays to cost the Titans points on the scoreboard or to give points to the other team for the Titans to lose the game.
True.
That's as simple as it is. Will Levis has played way too large of a part in losing them games, not because he can't complete a pass down the field or he can't get it in the end zone. It's because he's giving the football away. It's the most simple thing. The rule number 1 of playing quarterback, protect the football. Don't just hand it away. And here we are again, 2 games out of 2. He has done that. He has just given it away. It's not that he's not good enough. It's that he's not playing disciplined enough or smart enough. And it's all avoidable. That's where I think I'm most frustrated. And I think you're not frustrated is how avoidable all these things are because the roster is good enough to be 2-0.
So I want to take a step back here narratively because you're expressing your frustration, and it's weird because we seem to be on different sides of this argument, but as you're talking, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. I think the reason for that is, like I started the show off today, and folks in the chat, many folks are upset with me defending Levis. Try to see it from my perspective here. The reason I'm not nearly as frustrated as you are, Austin, and as many in the chat are, I suppose is because, again, nothing has happened this season through 2 games for the Titans that I did not in August anticipate happening. We are exactly where I thought we would be. So that's why I'm not particularly
frustrated. You're not living in the moment here. Like we're not talking about the
I am looking at the season, the full long season. You're right. I'm not living a week to week.
Live in the moment. I think this is September 15th. That's just not the way I operate. This is September 15th, Titans postgame show. The Titans are 0-2. They lost 24-17 to the Jets because Will Levis had 2 turnovers. And he's got 5 turnovers on the season. I understand we're not talking big picture here. We're talking today. Because the Tennessee Titans had an opportunity to win the football game to get to 1-1. They had an opportunity to win last week to get to 1-0, and it didn't work. So in this conversation of the postgame show, Will Levis is not helping the Titans win games right now.
And I am not saying that. Certainly not. I don't think I have ever said that. And I'm not saying that Will Levis is blameless in this game. If we did another blame pie like we talked about last week, Will Levis wouldn't be north of 50% like it was in that game. But he probably has the plurality of the percentage, or maybe tied for the plurality of the percentage in terms of who is the most to blame. So I'm fine with, if you want to frame it that way, I'm happy to have a conversation about today.
Yeah, that's the point.
Well, but I'm seeing in the comments a lot of same disaster, different quarterback. Levis is like a lot of giving up long term, and that's what makes me want to, I guess that's what leads me to be a little more defensive of Levis in this team, because again, we're not anywhere that I didn't expect us to be. But I'm happy to forget that. We can talk about just today, as long as we've established those ground rules. And in terms, do we want to keep talking about Levis or the rest of the team? Where would you like to go for this?
Oh, I mean, we can get more people involved because we got a lot of super chats, and we'll get to those here in a little bit. But we do want to start with how we always do our Titans post-game show, and that's the one-word game. What is one word to describe this loss to, the Jets? What is one word to describe this loss to the Jets here at 24-17 as the Titans drop a second game in a row? We'll get to this one word here in a second. But first, let me tell everybody about TDOT. There's over 88 million pieces of litter on Tennessee's roadways right now. It's such a big problem. We can all be a part of the solution. And TDOT spends over $23 million every year cleaning up that litter. They can't do it alone. So you can help by making simple changes. Stop littering, pick up the litter when you see it, and join local cleanups, just like A to Z is going to be doing this fall. Every action counts. Tennessee needs all of us to step up to be part of the solution and help keep Tennessee beautiful. Visit nobodytrashestennessee.com to get involved. Nobodytrashestennessee.com. So one words. Again, we're not showing the bad words on the screen, but there's over 101 words that have been dropped in the comment here since I started talking about TDOT. So Easton, I'll let you go to the PG rated one words here, because PG-13 lets a little bit else slide in there, but we'll go PG rated one words here on this post game show. What's everybody feeling?
Brad starts us off with an embarrassing, which is fair. Frank says trash. Jonathan, expected. Don says frustrating. Jameson says typical. Mr. Robinson, learning. Frustrating again from Courtney. Sad from Willie. Unjust from Cause66. Abysmal from Money. Expected again from Jonathan. Depressing from G. Typical from Duran. O-line, says Ty. Par, I'd imagine, for the course from Skip here. Expected. Tyler says surprising. He's surprised, unlike some others in the chat here. Usual, lackluster, crushing, again. Seeing a lot of words along the same theme. Austin, my one word is I was going to say predictable, but that kind of goes back to the long term, so we'll avoid that. I'll say avoidable. How about avoidable? I think today's loss a lot like week one, in a slightly different way, but ultimately, like I said at the top of the show, two evenly matched teams. The Titans have been in two games in which they were up against a team they were evenly matched with, and the team that made more mistakes was the one that lost. And when the mistakes are on you, which they were in both cases for the Titans, that's an avoidable loss.
I think avoidable is a really good word. Jack on Facebook says exhausting. I also think this is a very exhausting loss, because
I think every Titans game is exhausting.
Yeah, and I think it's I'm just going to say the word painful, because we're not having the big picture scope conversation, right? Because we all I don't think it's super smart to like we talked about in the pregame show, expectations versus hopes. Like you can hope the Titans can make the playoffs, as the Jets are expecting it to. But this is just flat out painful, because you can see the good pieces on this team. The defense plays very well. The offensive line has its moments. Calvin Ridley has his moments. Tony Pollard is really fun to watch run the football. I'm bummed that Tajay Spears got hurt at some point in that second half. But Tony Pollard ran very strong. And you can see it with Will Levis. Like you can see really good throws. The toe tap throw to Calvin Ridley there in that last drive was beautiful. Now he made a couple other really nice plays with his legs and with his arms. It's just painful. It's because you weren't expecting to be, I think, as competitive against the Jets. I think it's just they're showing you that they should be able to win games.
I think it's a breakthrough moment for us here.
Like they're ripping it out of your heart when you thought you had it. They're bringing you the hope. You're about to go up 10-0. It's 3rd and goal. Just either score a touchdown or Nick Folk's going to kick a field goal. You're up 10-0. You're up 17-0 last week. And then the pain of just watching it just get sucked out of you by the same mistakes that Will Levis made the week before.
Yeah, I know that we've been at odds here so far.
And the block punt.
Yeah, we cannot forget
that too.
I can't wait for another edition of the most awkward press conference in the world when we get to talk to the special teams coordinator this week. But You and I have been at odds in this show so far. The chat's certainly at odds with me. Let me try once again to bring us together, because what you said there was kind of a light bulb moment for me.
Okay.
It sounds like you, me, and most folks in the chat came into this season expecting for things to start slow and for things to be rough. And the reason why we're seeing things differently is because for you, the fact that they're, in terms of competitiveness, maybe a little bit ahead of schedule is what's so painful about it, is that they're closer than you expected, and it's the closeness that's so hard, because you're right there.
Yes.
That I get that entirely. And if that's the way that folks see it, I get that. The reason why I'm not nearly as upset is it's kind of a glass half full, glass half empty kind of thing, right? Because we agree that they were going to start slow. We agree that they seem competitively ahead of the curve, or at least what we expected. You're seeing it as, oh, they're so close. And I'm seeing it as, they're ahead of schedule in my book. And that's why I'm not all that upset about it. Now, I know most fans don't think that way.
Yeah, but it's also the fact of, like, you're right here. Like, you're in the moment. You have a chance to beat the Bears. Yeah, you should. Like, should the Titans have won both these games? Just a flat out question. Should the Titans have won the games?
I would say they should, because the nature of the NFL, you win or lose by one score. I'd say they should at least be 1-1. They should have won one of them.
I mean,
because a lot of the NFL's coin flip. A lot of it's coin flip. So I'll say they should at least be 1-1, and they should feel like they could have won both games.
Calvin Ridley was in the locker room in Chicago talking to Sam and other reporters, and he said, should have won the game, should have won the game, should have won the game.
Well, that's the one I think they should have won.
I think they should have won the game today.
I think they could have won the game today. I think they could have won the game today.
Yeah, fair. I think they should have.
There's a long second half. They had a lot of chances.
They should have gone up 10-0, and I think that game plays very differently with the Titans up 10-0. Because I think the back-to-back Will Levis turnovers, whether you put all of the interception to Burks on him or not, I'm just saying you put back-to-back snaps of turnovers, gives the Jets life.
The combined negative EPA of those two plays alone is probably like a touchdown. Yeah.
Which is what happened, 7-7. Instead of 10-0, and you're up 10-0, the Jets don't have the sliver of hope. Titans defense is still playing lights out. I don't think the Jets are able to put together a touchdown drive like they did after the interception.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the reason why I say should have won one, could have won two, is because in the Bears game, we were able to come on this show and literally point to, here were 3 points, here were 3 points, here were 7 points. Literally, they should have won because of these 3 plays. Whereas in this game, I think, it's easy as a fan to point back to something that happened in the first or second quarter and be like,
I know at least of 6 points.
I know, but they lost by 7, right? So, and again, when things like when those,
but what happened? What happened? What happened at the end of the game?
Right. They
what?
6
points, right?
Oh, they could have kicked a field goal. Right. No, yes. But what I'm trying to say is when those nexus points in a game happen really early on, as opposed to the end of the game, it's hard for us to say what, like, the domino effect throughout the next 45 minutes of football. So that's why I think they absolutely should have won week 1, and they absolutely could have won this week. That's how I feel. But to your original point about the frustration of how close they can be, or how close they already are, rather. So my question to you based on that is this: if they were 0-2 today by completely different circumstances, like if they were more on schedule or maybe even a little bit behind schedule based on what we expected, they looked relatively outclassed in both games. There were some moments, but they really weren't close. And you certainly couldn't say they should have won either of the games. Would you feel better or worse today? Because you seem really, like, you in the chat seem really upset by them being so close.
Because I mean, look,
would you be more upset by them being far behind?
Yeah, I think there would be less charge behind it. I think that's
depression than
it would
anger,
be,
maybe.
Yeah, it would be more people just like, this is going to be a little long over a year. But the fact that you're seeing Calvin really make some plays, you're seeing Tony Pollard run hard again. You're seeing the defense look really strong, and then letting some things slip through. Because the title of the show, by the way, is Titans lose again due to Will Levis's mistakes and defensive errors. Right, like. The
That's what I want to talk about next.
Did give up points in that second half that I think we have to talk about. And we will, because remember, the Titans were still winning at halftime. And the Jets were able to put together 17 points in the second half, and the Titans were able to just get 7. So I think, there would be less emotional charge behind it, but it's because the Titans either should have or could have won both games, if not both.
Yeah, and that's just why, and I don't want to get too meta with our conversation. We can talk more about what actually happened in the game for the rest of the show, but that's what fascinates me from a long-term perspective, is that I think there would be far less fire ran bench Will Levis tweets being fired off today if they had lost both games pretty handily. I think folks would be saying, well, it's a young quarterback, a lot of new pieces, you got to be patient. I think there'd be more patience in this moment if it weren't for two so close losses.
And Mr. Jones is the one saying fire ran, which I think is just stupid, because
it is stupid. He's not alone. There's a lot of it on Twitter too. But
okay, fair. But I have not seen as much of it in the chat. Let's go ahead and get to some super chats, because we have, I think, 16 super chats to get through. So we'll try to give them, So appreciate all of you guys with the super chats. Make sure you hit that like button here live on our A to Z Sports post-game show, Titan Game Day Live post-game show. I'm Austin Stanley. He's Easton Freeze. I'm just going to go chronologically as they came in. Show mode, 17 damn points. Again, 17.
We should have known. We did know. We tweeted about it when it happened.
We knew exactly.
Austin, you and I. It's over. It's a wrap.
Absolutely. Zachary comes in. How many yards did Burks have? Oh, 0. Okay, just checking. Now, I will say this. The reason why the Titans were able to take a 7-0 lead is because Treylon Burks had a incredibly good block on Calvin Ridley's touchdown run to seal the edge there. Julius,
can I put a pin in that comment real quick so we can come back to it?
I'll keep it up there.
Okay. That brings up an interesting point that we can maybe talk about in terms of game flow in a minute. But I did feel like throughout this entire game, and kind of in week 1 too, their intermediate passing game is just as non-existent as it was in Will Levis's first year last year. Like, they don't have a whole lot of short and intermediate routes that work to pick up 4 or 5 yards. And the downfield passing outside of, like, it was a lot of tight ends and running backs in the passing game. Where are these receivers that we build as one of the best in the league in terms of a group? I think that's something worth discussing.
I think it's there. I don't know how much of that. We'll talk about play calling, I'm sure, here in a little bit.
Let's make it part of that conversation.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. So Julius says Malik won, Levis lost. Is it the franchise? I think the fact that the Packers are a better team, we know that, but they were able to coach really, really good around.
Guys, go look at how many yards Malik Willis had in this game. The Packers ran for like 400 yards. You don't need a quarterback when you can run for 400 yards. Who did you compare him to? The college team?
Oh, it was like what Tennessee did to Kent State last night in the first half.
Yes.
Which was maybe abusive. Darren says 17 points, Levis making dumb decisions. Special team sucks. Too much Pollard, not enough Spears. Well,
we got hurt.
Tajay Spears did get hurt in the second half. He went in the locker room with I know, that's 2 weeks in a row. All I needed was 4 more yards from Tajay.
My parlay would have hit with 4 more yards. Yeah.
Ah, gee, brutal. So that's the thing on Tajay is that's bummer. Darren says no anger, calming, removing all expectations. Levis in-game IQ is questionable. Standing on that.
Yeah, I think we all are. I don't think anybody is questioning the questionable decision making from Levis. I think we're all there on that.
For sure. King VC says, that was rough, but lock in and like the show. Appreciate that. Thanks, King VC. And Nisha says, Burks allowed that interception. Burks should have caught that ball. He was over the defender and had the ball in his arms. He gave up on the play. Typo. So he gave up on the play. I don't think he gave up on the play. I think he got outworked at the end of the play. There's no question about that. I don't think that means he gave up. But yeah, Treylon Burks that play should either end with the football in Treylon Burks' hands or on the turf. Like that should be the two options.
You cannot catch it, but you can't allow them to catch it there.
Exactly.
As a receiver.
Exactly. Slightly underthrown, but Burks should have made the play. Mike Vrabel's burner says, how's the modern offense everyone wanted working?
On the drives that they scored, you saw the modernity in spades.
Yes.
You saw the creative play calling. You saw Callahan in his bag. So the part that, like, how's the modern offense everyone wanted working? When it works, it works. They've just got to get consistent with it.
Example, the third on the first touchdown drive, 3rd and 6, I want to say, Calvin Ridley, a part of trips left, going drag route. Sauce Gardner's having to work through all the mess, and Levis hits him beautifully in stride up the field for a big play. That looks great.
Yeah.
So let's see. Dumb at the half, yes. Came back and people can't catch. Plus, refs didn't help at the end.
Okay.
Okay. I will. I'm not saying refs hurt the Titans, but DeAndre Hopkins on 1st and goal got held really bad in the end zone.
True.
They showed the replay on CBS. That was very evident.
I kind of think they were letting that happen all day, though. Like, I feel like when I watch I'll confirm this later this week, but I feel like when I watch the film, I'm going to see a lot of that, which I'm fine with if it's consistent. But if it wasn't consistent, I'm with you.
And I don't know, but there was a hold. They called a hold on one of the Jets safeties early in the game.
That's
so
true.
They called it.
So maybe not. Maybe not.
I mean, they called.
I just saw a lot of
Sneed
physicality
like
downfield throughout the game. That is what makes me think. But I don't know. You could be right here.
I mean, there was like jersey grab and stretch. Like it was very much a hold. Now
think about the alternative though. Is that the call you make to end a game?
It wouldn't have ended the game though. But was it?
But it would have put him on the 1 yard line, right?
Yeah, but it's not. It's still a 7-point game. Like you're talking about overtime. But is it the right call to make? Like if Will Levis, that was the play that Will Levis got hit and ran because he ran on it and he gained like 2 yards.
Right.
If would Will Levis have thrown the football? If
you're talking. Oh, we're thinking of different plays. Okay, I don't know. I didn't catch what you're talking about.
Oh man,
I thought you were talking about the Hopkins out of bounds in the end zone.
No.
Oh, okay.
It was the one that Levis ran 2 yards.
Then I need to go back and look.
He was getting his jersey yanked. Like it was a strong fist of white jersey in Sauce Gardner's hands, and that was a very blatant hold that did not get called. That should have gotten called.
That stinks.
And it wouldn't have been a pass interference, so that probably would have been first and goal at the 4 or 5 or whatever, where half the distance would have been. Let's see more super chats. Fade saying, and for people saying first round, you want Bryce. We're not going to talk about Bryce Young. I'm not watching him. Coach Zach says,
for the record,
we're getting into the territory where if Bleep doesn't change, need to start having a conversation about it. Are we better off drafting a QB next year? He's just not an NFL starter. I mean, we're not going to go that deep into
these are the comments that make me want to talk long term, Austin.
But we will do that Monday through Friday.
Yes, we will.
Post-game show is about today.
Totally fair.
Chill Mode says the most Tennessee Titans thing happened today. Malik won, Levis lost. You can't get any more Titan than this. I'm just numb. I'm just all Vols now. Well, at least
that's not true. You can get more tight than this. Malik Willis can beat you next week. That would be more tight.
Oh, good call. Yes, because that could absolutely happen. But hey, Malik Willis got his run the ball for 500 yards win as a starter out of the way, and so next week the Titans know exactly what to expect.
Right.
King VC comes back, still working through all these super chats. I think we keep adding some. King VC says, "I'm not sure what's going on with special teams, but this is getting out of hand."
Brother, yeah. I can't wait to dive into the research department, see when the last time a team had blocked punts in back-to-back games. I'm also not going to be surprised if it turns out it was the Titans at some point. I hate when there's special teams errors because special teams coordinators are unanimously unable to answer these kinds of questions. Like, what goes wrong? Well, a guy got beat. How do you keep him from getting beat? We just got to be better. Cool. Thanks. Like, what do you do with that?
But I think with Craig Aukerman, look, there was 6 years of information and data on Craig Aukerman's special teams, right? Like we have 2 weeks of Colt Anderson. And when the Titans hired Colt Anderson, it was this guy knows special teams. Like this guy knows what's up.
Mm-hmm.
But what this looks like to me is a failure of execution. Like this is not like the Jets did some great stunt to I'm a guy who I blocked a few punts in my life.
Flex.
That's one of my honestly my favorite thing to do on the football field is to try to block a punt.
Sure,
because it's a chess match, and that's not what happened last week with the Bears. It's not what happened today with the Jets.
It was one guy getting beat.
It was one guy just running, and he was like, "Oh, block the punt." And Julius Chestnut got beat. I thought Mike Brown today, who is the personal protector for Stonehouse, left early. I don't know why. But you watch it, 44. If you go back and watch the end zone view, Mike Brown looked to me like he left early on that block punt today. If he's still there, then that's what he's there for, is to get the leakage. Zachary comes in. Yes, Malik won today. There is that. Eric says Levis is the only person holding this team back. I disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm not there, Eric. I'm not. But we know, folks know I'm not there. I think maybe they're surprised you're not there.
He is holding them back,
He's
but
not
he's
the only
not by
one.
himself.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
He is
So
not by
maybe that's
himself.
an interesting question. Who's the second most to blame for this game?
That is, I'm guessing, something that Zach Bingham and I will talk about tomorrow morning, because I
Good
want to
tease.
go back and collect my thoughts on that.
Fair enough.
But special teams is an early candidate to be right there,
Yeah.
because if Will Levis is directly affecting the scoreboard in a negative way, so is the punt protection unit.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. All right. More super chats coming in. TLG says, my mind has accepted that this franchise will forever fall short. First time I'm not pissed after a loss. So glad I didn't give my money to this team by purchasing game tickets. Tennessee Clippers. Oof. Easton, you dropped.
I'm not allowed long term anymore, so I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself.
All right, there you go. Law is incredible. Levis played well for the most part. It cost the Titans 3 points. Ridley dropped a touchdown in his hands. Callie underwhelming. Too many 1st and 10 runs. What are your thoughts today on the play calling?
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with too many 1st and 10 runs. I felt like the play calling looked better in the second half than it did in week 1 because the week 1 bar was so low. I felt like the second half play calling got so stale. It also, for most of the third quarter, you and I were texting back and forth like this team has negative yards on offense, and they've gone on 3 drives or whatever it was.
2 drives, 6 plays, minus 6 yards, and there was an offensive. There was a hold on Radens in that. Yeah. So there was some. Yeah, Brian Callen can't do anything about that.
He got stale. I felt like the play calling in the fourth quarter got a lot better. They were moving the ball, on that final drive, again, moving the ball. I guarantee when we talk to Callahan on Monday or tomorrow about those final couple play calls in the low red zone, he's going to say, guys, there just aren't many good play calls when you've got one shot from 13 yards out to score a touchdown in the NFL, which is true, boring, but true. So I felt like, again, I've made it clear to everybody that I'm looking more at trajectory than results. And in terms of play calling trajectory from week 1 to week 2, I felt like it was arrow up. Did you agree or maybe not?
There were a couple spots, and look, the Titans had 2 possessions when the game was tied at 17. So they tied the game at 17, got a stop on the Jets, and then had 3 and out. Got a stop against the Jets, and then had another 3 and out. The first 3 and out where they had a chance to take the lead in the game. This was at the very beginning of the fourth quarter, is when they were able to do this. I could not hate the jet sweep on 3rd and 3 to Tony Pollard more. I thought that play was
fair.
Bad. Like
situationally.
Situation. I mean, I don't. If you're gonna, because how they did it is they showed a 5 wide set. With Tony Pollard out left. They act like they're going to motion him back, and then they run a jet sweep there like that. I just don't think that's going to fool anybody.
I think that falls into the too cute bucket, right? And Vrabel would do this all the time where they'd get too cute on 3rd and 4th and short. I think that falls squarely in the too cute bucket. I'm with you.
Because
get north.
Jets, but yeah, get north. And the other thing is, like, there was no other running. Like, if Tony Pollard was standing at Will Levis's hip, and you're in a jet sweep motioning Ridley, okay, because there's Tony Pollard still there to keep the defense honest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because when it's empty and he's running back and you're in a jet sweep, then they know exactly where it's going to go.
Right.
And so I thought the 3rd and 3 jet sweep to Pollard was bad. I had 4 hates in my tweet about it. Chosen says too much.
Well, hang on. You didn't answer the question unless I missed it. Did you feel like it was arrow up or arrow down for the play calling trajectory wise?
Trajectory. I think it's okay. I mean, I think it's like Brian Callahan's new at this too. He's working through it. I think situationally there's some bad things, but situationally there's some really good things. Like the 3rd and 6, Ridley out of trips, crossing over to get away from Sauce. Perfect. Beautiful play design, great call, and perfect execution from everybody. Right. So there's good stuff. There's absolutely good stuff. There's a lot of really good stuff in the last drive, like the one to Ridley on the sideline. So there's the wheel route to Tony Pollard down the sideline to end the first half. There's a lot of really good stuff from the play calling there. Chosen says too much Burks, not enough NWI. Burks is trash. He can block but can't catch. Can't wait till he's gone. Look, I mean, I don't think Treylon Burks needs to see the field that often. And I think NWI is probably a better blocker than Treylon Burks. I'm cool with that. I would be totally fine with NWI getting more of Traylon Burks' snaps.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see the snap count today for all the receivers, actually. I tweeted or texted you at one point. I'm very curious to see what DeAndre Hopkins' snap count looks like today because they started getting him involved. I mean, he had that one first half catch where you're like, all right, check the box for the streak there. And then he disappeared again until the very end of the game. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's the guy that last year when they made things happen, you leaned on him because he's an elite player. So where's he been? I don't know whether he was on the field or not. I did a poor job of watching that in real time. So maybe it was another situation where he was really limited.
Yeah.
Did you
it
catch
felt
this?
like DeAndre Hopkins was not on the field more often than he was last week. I think it was very similar percentage wise.
At one point during August, early on when we knew Hopkins was out in practice, I offhand tweeted something that it keeps coming back in my mind. I was wrestling with the idea of the three top line receivers the Titans have, who is the most detrimental to have lost? And my experimental take at the time was, I feel like Hopkins may not be the best receiver on this team, but he's by far the worst guy to not have available for you. And I feel like I should have said that with my chest because today that's how I feel. I feel like if you had Hopkins 100% and Ridley not 100%, things would be a lot better in the passing game because I just think Hopkins is so steady Eddie, reliable, get a bucket guy.
Sure.
Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. King VC super chat says, I'll also say this. I think Diop not being out there is really hurting as well. King getting back be better. And we literally just talked about that's a great timing there. And then Darren says, can someone break down the pass game? Trash. That comes with more time. Look,
we need to remember the Jets have a very good secondary. We talked about it all week and we haven't mentioned it once on the show today. It is fair to point out that most teams this year are not going to look great as a passing team against the Jets. Doesn't mean you can excuse the Titans not looking better, but that's part of it, certainly.
King VC says, can I ask y'all something? If Levis makes another play where he's trying to do too much like today with the Bears, should they consider benching him? I mean, no. Because you have to figure it out. And allowing him more opportunities to not do that is you trying to make sure you figure it out. Now, at some point, if it's like December and we're still dealing with the same stuff, then maybe you've learned that he's not it. And then maybe you put Mason Rudolph in and I don't know, maybe learn what you got from the future if you want to draft, again, long-term stuff we don't need to get to.
Right.
But I did see this. Shizzy says, Austin, give it to us straight. Do the Titans suck? My answer is no. I don't think they do.
That's the frustration is that they don't suck. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why this is very frustrating. They are right here because I don't think the Jets suck either. The Bears have a good defense and I think will be better. I think the Bears and Titans are very much parallels of each other. And they might take that same path towards getting better later on in the season, but the Titans don't suck. They have a lot of really good players on this team. They've lost a game because the details are not good enough throughout all four quarters. And that matters in the NFL.
They are super raw as a team. They're super raw, I think is the way to put it.
For sure. All right. We've talked a lot here. We do need to grade Will Levis because we do that every post-game show. So we're going to grade Will Levis here in a second. We do want to have you guys make sure you like the show. If you've got a thought in the chat on how you would grade Titans quarterback Will Levis, I do want to read his stats because this is not an F, Easton. Like, you know how
I'm glad it's not. Yeah.
Right. This is like last week there was an F because the one play was so catastrophic that it lost the game. This is not the same game. This is very different. So
that was your answer, to be clear. I did not give him an F.
For sure. That was
sparkling D plus or C minus, whatever it was. Yeah.
So now we're going to grade Will Levis. I'll read through his stats as the comments are flying in here. 19-28, 192 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, was sacked 4 times. Again, should have been 5 times. And then he also ran the ball 4 times for 38 yards with a long of 21. Made some really nice plays with his legs for the second week in a row. So 192 through the air, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 38 yards on the ground, and also had the fumble. So 2 turnovers there. So what's the chat doing? How are they grading Will Levis here?
The chat is a little bit all over the place. Not as bad as it was last week, but I'm seeing a lot of D's, D pluses, and D minus, like from Andre and Anthony and Ken and Duran. Anything that's not a D here. Jake says a C flat, just a regular old C. Troy is harsh grader, still on an F. Derek and Jay in the C territory, as is Daniel. 1B from Chris Frazier is the only B I've found. It's mostly C's and D's, an occasional B, an occasional F. Yeah, I mean, I gave him I think my answer was a D plus last week. So I would give him I think I'm giving him a C plus on this game. Just because I think if you remove that single play, which again, I'm not trying to excuse it. I'm just saying if we remove the one play that he made, I think we'd be giving him a, B somewhere in there.
Is that a full letter grade?
That one play, it's close to it.
Because of what happened last week?
Yeah, yes. If week one had gone differently and he had done this for the first time, it wouldn't be as big a thing. But the fact that once is an instance, twice is a coincidence, 3 times a pattern, we're one away from this being officially a pattern. And then something that I just pulled up from Next Gen Stats, which I will use to bolster what I think is a higher grade than most folks are giving him. We once again cannot let the offensive line get off the hook. Fresh in from Next Gen Stats here, the Jets pass rush generated pressure on 60% of dropbacks, the highest by a defense since week 13 of 2023. They had 11 players generate at least one pressure, including 4 with 4 or more. Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald led the team with 5 apiece. McDonald had 3 sacks. NPF by himself allowed 13 pressures, tied for the 5th most in a game since 2018. Today, yes, the 60% pressure rate allowed by the Titans is their highest in a game since week 5, 2022. So we cannot forget that Will Levis is not in an awesome situation as a passer in terms of the pocket he's being afforded. That matters, guys. It does.
So Nicholas Petit-Frere gave up 13 pressures today.
In the last 3 hours, he gave up 13 pressures. Yeah.
That's like as many letters in his name.
Yeah, I wonder if we had told that to folks before they responded with their answer, if maybe they had given him an extra half letter grade. I mean, that is a damning statistic in terms of the situation you're in as a passer. That is damning. It does not excuse Will Levis for not being better, but he's not being set up for success by his offense.
Sure.
He's not. His offensive line, that is.
I think Dylan Radins also let guys cross his face really quickly a few times, and that hurt the running game and it hurt Will Levis. Man, and look, Devin brings this up, which is also true, that Levis does shift into pressure at times. That is true in general of Will Levis. I thought Will Levis navigated the pocket fairly well today. There were
better today than week 1.
Yeah, there were a few times today where Will Levis, I saw him slide, step up. He stuck strong, made some nice throws. But man, I didn't catch in real time that NPF was that bad today. I noticed Dylan Radins getting beat more often than I noticed NPF getting beat. And Zach Carringer says it's the right side. The Titans have 2 backups playing on the right side at right guard and at right tackle. Yeah, I wonder what Sadiq Charles is doing today in his newly retired from football life. So you said C plus for Levis. Man, I think I'm going to go flat C.
Okay.
Because,
what would your grade be if that one play hadn't happened? Is that a full letter grade for you?
B.
Okay.
Yeah. I almost upgraded him because I thought Ridley should have caught the deep ball the first time. And I don't knock his grade at all today for the interception.
Me neither.
I don't. That doesn't affect me one bit from like watching Will Levis play quarterback. I think I'm almost at a C plus for today.
Okay.
Because I thought where he did make the play was in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Aaron Rodgers separated himself today.
Did he? They had 3 running backs score touchdowns.
Yeah, but two of them were
one
passing.
pass to Brees, sure, but that's a running back on a linebacker. You just have to throw a fade ball. It's not really that hard.
It was a beautiful throw.
Yeah, but NFL quarterbacks are expected to be able to make that
for sure. Yeah, but Aaron also hit the throw to Garrett Wilson over Snead on 3rd and 1 was
Yeah. That was a gorgeous route too. Yeah.
the Willie Mays. And then
Mhm.
also the throw on the opposite side over Cheeto to Mike Williams was also perfect
Yep.
from Aaron. And so
Listen, good player. Don't get me wrong. Good player.
when you make him move, he's not very good. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he's old and hurt. Yeah, totally. Agreed.
All right. So I'm very close to saying C+ for Will Levis today. But I'm not going to do it. I need to hold higher standards. Don't do the dumb thing that costs your team points.
Sure.
It's as simple as that sentence. Mm-hmm. Don't do the dumb thing.
Do less.
That costs your team's points.
Just less. Generally do less.
And that kind of makes me bring up another point. Jeffrey Simmons. Also do less. Don't hit the quarterback in the face mask because that's a big time deal too.
What was it? 3rd and 15 that they've got to stop there?
3rd and 15. Just finishing through the face mask of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And Jeff Simmons continuously, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a year will do something in a game on a Sunday that hurts the Tennessee Titans pretty big. And he's a great player, like really good, but he just does too much sometimes. And you're like, why? And then I think back on the times that he's done it I think back to Rand Carthon to open up this training camp. Jeffrey Simmons is the leader of this organization. And Jeffrey Simmons is doing something stupid on a 3rd and 15. It's like, that was an accident. I don't care. An accident. Don't do it. Like, you cannot hit the quarterback in the face. It was unintentional. It's going to happen. No, it's not. So many guys don't let that happen. Don't hit the quarterback. Like, you don't bring your arm down. It's like a foul in basketball. You don't how you get away with not getting called for fouls? You don't go down. You go up. That's how you do it. Because if you go down, you're going to hit a shooter's hand or you're going to hit Aaron Rodgers in the face. If you go up, you have a chance to block the pass and not hit Aaron Rodgers in the face. Like, that's how you do things. Like, it's fundamental defense. Like, you don't swat down because you're going to get burned a couple times.
Yeah. Generally speaking, I don't disagree with you. And he's in that boat of guys kind of Josh Allen-y, where it's like they regularly do things that make you really mad at them, but ultimately they get away with it because then they do 2 things that make you very pleased with them. He's a fantastic player, and I don't think it's unfair for us and for fans to hold him to a standard higher than that. Yeah, we see that kind of thing where a pass rusher clips a guy's face mask and that, like, it just happens. But when you're an elite player, you should be held to elite standards. And I'm sure he's not happy with doing that. And ultimately, I wonder how much of that in that moment was purely a mistake and how much of it was, we'd already seen him jawing with Rodgers beforehand, trying to knock Rodgers out of bounds when he was running out of bounds beforehand.
And Rodgers jawing back at him.
Right.
And if I'm playing against Jeffrey Simmons, I'm doing exactly what Aaron Rodgers did.
He gets too hot. He gets a little too hot.
I'm going to talk to him. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so talk at Jeff, and he's going to do something. You're going to get him heated. And I don't think that's where Jeff needs to be. And so I think Jeffrey Simmons is easy to play that game with if you're against him. But again, net positive, easy. Oh, obviously.
Right. Kind of Draymond-y a little bit. Just get in their head.
Not that bad.
Yeah, I said a little bit. I said a little bit.
Yeah,
I said a little bit.
For sure. But I don't want that to go because
don't let that go triple platinum. Just a little bit.
Not quite Draymond, but Shrike says if it happens on a 1st down, we don't care. It was 3rd down. It was 3rd and 15. You can't do that. You just can't.
And Rodgers they weren't converting it. It's not like if not for that penalty, they would have converted. They weren't, whether Simmons smacks him in the face or not, that's going to be a punt. Is that a drive they scored on, or ultimately they got stopped?
That was what made it 14-10.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the Breece Hall touchdown over Kenneth Murray drive. So you can't swat. You can't. So
hey, speaking of Simmons, the last defensive drive of the game, where did the Titans defense go?
I don't know
performance wise, but literally where did the front go? They weren't out there for the first 4 plays of the drive. One of those plays was that gorgeous Willie Mays over the shoulder 3rd and 1 conversion by Rodgers. It was Harrell and a couple backup. Yeah, it was Harrell and a couple backup interior defensive linemen. There was no Sweat, no Simmons, no Landry for 4 consecutive plays to start that series, and no one really knows
I
where
did
they
not
went.
catch that. Well, you know why? It's probably because the Titans offense went back-to-back drives of 3 and out in a minute
They needed a
48,
breather.
3 and out in a minute 28. That's
Maybe.
why, right?
Maybe.
And then, the drive before the Titans did not do very well with time of possession. Even on their touchdown drive in the second half, it was a 2-minute and 36-yard drive. So maybe that's probably it to an extent, because the Jets went 6 plays, 10 yards, but it took 335. Then they went 5 plays for 21, but it took 250. And on that, I don't know if they missed those first few plays or not, but you just have to kind of like, tip your cap at the Aaron Rodgers pass to Garrett Wilson. That was just really good. But the Roger McCreary tackle the next play, you're like, ooh, you've got him. You got him outside of field goal range. You have him behind the sticks. But then he hits Mike Williams over Cheeto, and you're like, dang, that's just an Aaron Rodgers Hall of Fame type of play. And you can't really do anything about that.
Well, and Mike Williams beating a good corner in 2024 is not what you want to see, ultimately. I mean, maybe I'm too down on Mike Williams as a player at this point, but that's a play you need Cheeto to make, man. He's not even getting his head around. I wasn't super pleased with that.
Well, to be honest, it's not even that, though. Like, I can live with a guy making a great back shoulder sideline catch on a corner who's in position, because that's just good offense. Like, a DB is going to get beat on that a few times a game. What is not good defense is it being 2nd and 4 and you allow Braylon Allen to go 20 yards off the right side.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. No, I agree there. I was, in terms of the element of the defense I was most disappointed in today, it was certainly the run defense. And they corralled Breece Hall as a runner. They didn't do a great. Ultimately, what it was when they were running traditional running plays, the Titans' run defense looked good. And when the Jets were getting the ball underneath or getting the ball in a designed screen, jailbreak looks, it was quite bad. So I think that'll be an interesting line of questioning this week for the coaches, how you coach those things differently, how there can be such a difference between traditional run defense and this new way of getting the ball into the running back's hand. But there was a big difference between those two types of looks.
I just looked at this. The Jets had 101 rushing yards today. 50 of it came on 2 plays.
With the Breece run for 30 yards and the touchdown run for Braylon Allen. Yeah.
Outside of that, you did a really good job. But guess what? That's the NFL, where 2 plays make a difference.
That's how the Titans won a lot of games with Derrick Henry. 2 massive Derrick Henry runs. Yeah.
That's how the Titans have lost games, is just a few plays. Because the Titans ran for 130 today because you had Will Levis picking up 38. Explosive plays from the offense, which is exciting to watch. Calvin Ridley, 4 catches for 77 and a touchdown, and Tony Pollard went over 100 yards from scrimmage, 62 on the ground and 40 in the air. You're missing that next outside option, because without DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd's 2 catches on 5 targets for 26 yards, not good enough. Treylon Burks, 0 catches on 1 target, and D-Hop just the 1 catch on 2 targets. And there was a lot of time between those 2 targets for DeAndre Hopkins. So anything else to add here, Easton, before we wrap up this post-game show? Titans down 0-2 on the season.
I will just circle back to my general call to action for Titans fans is that, like Austin had asked me to do today, be frustrated in the moment. Yes, you should be frustrated about this game, but ultimately, Mr. Optimist here, I do genuinely see, and I think maybe give it 3, 4, 5 weeks, folks will feel this way more. I do see this team a little bit ahead of schedule in terms of how competitive they are. And like I've been saying all week, it is all about whether their arrow is pointed up, down, or sideways. And if they're pointed up at this point, I think that you're in for a good season. Ultimately, I know through week 2, it's hard to see that when you're 0-2, but this is a team worth not giving up on.
I agree with that. Zach asks, what's one positive and negative to go away with? The negative is that your quarterback is still a liability at times. The positive is that 2019 team started off pretty tough.
1-3, I think.
2-4.
2-4, yeah.
And they put it together. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but the schedule got easier in week 3 and in week 4.
About to face 2 backup quarterbacks, the Titans are probably.
I think the Titans are going to be fine. Like, I think the Titans have a chance to take some lumps on the chin early. And the good thing is the great thing about this is that the Titans are 0-2, but you see how they could win the game.
Division's there.
Should have won the game.
Division is there.
The Colts look bad.
Lost
To Malik Willis.
Mm-hmm. That's the other thing. The rest of the AFC South lost today. I mean, the Texans still have to play tonight. They'll probably start 2-0, but everybody else is 0-2 right now.
And you get the Texans twice late.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can make up those 2 games.
Jalen's right. Competitive games. The Titans, I think, should have won both games, but they didn't because they've got young players playing in big spots. And that happens in the NFL. So, and Rick says, wow, Austin, really? You don't believe your eyes, do you? No, I do believe my eyes. I mean, Rick, the Titans had a chance to win today, and they had a chance to win last week. They should have won both, in my opinion. They made mistakes in the margins, and that's how you lose in the NFL. Simple as that. So I'm still glass half full on the Titans season.
So am I.
But
right now it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating.
It's not as full because you had a chance to be really full. You had a chance to win a couple games. So
yeah.
All right, guys, that'll do it for us. Appreciate all of you for participating. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Want to give another shout out to all of our great partners on the way out the door for Titan Game Day Live this season. X Golf Nashville and Murfreesboro, the home for indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. PlayXGolf.com is their website. BetMGM. Man, the Tajay injury really, really hurts.
Yeah, that was like a 4-unit swing for your boy here, so I'm not feeling it.
Not great. But T-Dot, also, Nobody Trashes Tennessee, especially on game day. Visit NobodyTrashesTennessee.com to help out across your state. Keep Tennessee beautiful. NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. That'll do it for us. We've got a lot of coverage still coming. Sam Phelan, Buck Rising at the locker room. Buck will be live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime at 7. And then Zach and I will be live tomorrow morning at 8 Central Time for a Monday show that's guaranteed to not disappoint. For Easton, I'm Austin. Everybody have a great rest of your Sunday and catch all of our content, A to Z Sports.com/Titans. That's A to Z Sports.com/Titans for more content to come from this game. Appreciate it as always. Talk to you later.